Good morning, this is Randy. So I've been observing and watching some programs that are related to MK Ultra mind control, to psychological manipulation and torture. And we can all relate to that because that is basically what ends up being our experience, either growing up with narcissistic parents or becoming involved in a relationship with a covert narcissist or other cluster B. And then you also add substance abuse in there, and everything gets muddled up, confused, and you end up feeling like you are the crazy one. Your own personality changes. You break your own boundaries, do things that you would have never done normally, and end up actually being a person that you don't like in a relationship that is not working, and you're constantly trying to get a resolution to change it, to understand it. It's kind of like being in a constant state of confusion, which is actually a torture technique. So, in some of these programs that I've watched and other YouTube videos regarding MK Ultra mind control, which is, I guess, a technique used by the CIA and spies to torture enemies and to basically bring about psychological breakdown, and how it relates to evil, Satanism. That's another kind of offshoot of it. We're told about some of these things in the Bible, whether or not you believe the Bible or not. That the kind of manipulation, the lies, the deception, the sexual focus, sexual abuse, ritualistic, satanic sexual abuse, all those things related to Satan and the devil and evil. And then on the other hand, we see the narcissist, who is all of these things, and we try to figure out, whether or not they're doing it intentionally or whether or not they just naturally torture people and bring about pain to others, and then the sadistic pleasure that they seem to receive through causing confusion, causing pain to their supposed loved ones, all of this. So, I was thinking, how did the CIA, or how did the government, over years and years of practice, how did they even learn about these tormenting, torturous techniques to use on people, enemies? And then even there's questions about whether or not, their own people or us are actually the enemy. You can, since everything's deception, you end up not really being able to tell your friends from your enemies, and knowing who to trust and who not to trust. The narcissist brings all these things, highlights them in your life when, before you may have been just kind of walking around happily clueless that anything is being done to you, that you're actually, part of someone else's experiment, part of someone else's attempt to control your mind, your personality, and to get you to break down, and then you think you're nuts because, you know, who would really do that? That's just something that you see in movies. I mean, after all, we're not, you know, prisoners, are we? We haven't done anything wrong. Why would we deserve something like this being done to us? So it kind of comes full circle. But one of the main things I just wanted to mention in this video that I've learned about MK Ultra, mind control and torture, is leaving a situation unresolved, because the human brain wants to resolve things, wants to understand things naturally, and then come to a resolution about it. And with the narcissists and the cluster Bs, we never do get any kind of closure or resolution with the relationship. We never really do find out the truth, no matter how long we search for what really happened, what the intentions really were, how the narcissist really feels about us. We can only, you know, use conjecture and try to support one another to basically go no contact and try to get the narcissist and the torturous techniques that we've endured out of our minds, rather than continue to search for resolution. So after months and years of researching, we can fall into that pit where we're still trying to resolve this. And in a sense, it can be dangerous and possibly what the narcissist wants us to do, which is to continue on and on to still try to get this resolution ourselves as to what happened. And of course, you know, much of it is healthy because it can help bring us out of it and return to ourselves and return to our personality, and either return to our boundaries or grow new boundaries and learn how to protect ourselves, which is a great thing. But the lack of resolution of it all is really interesting to me, and how it relates to also an MK Ultra mind control technique. So I'm wondering, you know, how did the torturers, the government, the people that do these kind of techniques to enemies and possibly even to their own people like us, how did they figure out how to do these psychological torture techniques? Where did they learn this? And I'm thinking, you know, rather than narcissists, actually, you know, we see how they're very similar to each other, but yet they haven't read the same book, but they use the same playbook as if they all read the same book, learning how to actually torture people. And we see that substance abusers naturally torture the people around them by lying, stealing, making you believe that they've taken control over their addiction, and then turn right back around and stab you in the back, go to rehab over and over again and not get well, stuff like that. And I wanted to bring substance abuse and addiction into it because it's another one of those things that never seems to get like fully resolved. You're always waiting for the next shoe to drop. Even with a recovering addict, it's like, when is the addict going to go back to their addiction and then resume torturing you? And have you wasted all your time trying to help someone like this? These are just questions that come up. So I think, you know, maybe the CIA and these people that, you know, torture others, maybe they really learned how to do it from Satanism and from narcissists and cluster Bs, and from substance abusers and people who are addicted, by watching their behavior, because the tactic of leaving things confusing and unresolved and always like tentative, causing that human brain to try to finish it, end it, forget about it, seek safety and move on, is move on away from it. And I think even if working on yourself, let's say you've worked on yourself and tried to resolve any issues you had, even just the act of diverting your attention away from the confusing aspects of what happened to us at some point, by focusing on ourselves, maybe even focusing on just anything other than what was done to us to help free our mind, is going to be healthy no matter what the focus is. And I think that self-love is the key, and at some point giving up trying to figure out the narcissist. And that sounds funny coming from me, because I've been such an advocate for, and my mind has really tried to figure out the narcissist. But just wanted to say a couple thoughts about how the narcissist's control of us and leaving things unresolved is actually a technique of mind control. And it doesn't matter whether they know they're doing it or not. The fact is, that is what they do. And at some point, we do need to let it go and shift our focus. I'm not saying move on and act like it never happened, but just shift our focus to other things, to free our mind and somehow release our minds from having to even get a resolution, which is unnatural. But if we focus on things that make us feel good, that keep us in our integrity, I think that's the best way to go about it, and always keep our eyes and ears open for other kinds of ways that society is manipulating us and attempting to control us. So, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night.